Hello, you golfing legends, and welcome back to another episode of the Original Off Course. I'm your host, Dan Edwards, and joining me this week, Mr. Darth Finley, Jason Finley of Callaway Golf fame. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. How are you?
I don't think you need an introduction. I think it's just you now, the Darth Finley himself. Everyone
Well,
knows you.
I got a head cover even to prove it,
That's
Sits
great.
right here, right next to my belt.
Listen, I'm awesome. We'll have a couple days between when this gets recorded and when it gets released, but I've played golf in the last week, so I'm not like in the doldrums of winter right now. I'm actually riding a bit of a wave, which is great. So
Nice.
yeah, not that bad. I do want to share with you straight out of the
You've
gate.
probably played. I haven't played since the Granddaddy. I'm actually
What
playing
I feel like that's
tomorrow.
starting to become your story. Like
Yeah,
I haven't
I don't play
played.
much.
Goat Cup, I haven't really played. Granddad, I haven't really played. And then you just
It's pretty true.
lay waste.
I will tell you that if you can look at my rounds posted, I will play a good bit during the summer because I have a good friend that's in town, so I'll play with him. But I don't play nearly as much as I used to. So
That's unbelievable. I mean, you're practically an empty nester. You got all the time in the world. What are we doing with our life here?
yeah, I'm lazy. I'm out of shape. I'm old. I don't hit it as far. I'm not as good. There's a lot of reasons.
So all these sound bites are going straight to our social.
It is
Hey,
what it is. I'm a pretty straight shooter across the board, even if it's criticizing myself.
well, I guess a month ago, well, not quite a month ago, you once again added another Granddaddy victory to your resume. So that kind of stands on its own at this point. I would love to know, did you have a great time this year? Did you have fun with the guys?
Oh yeah, it was a great group. It was good time. I didn't like losing my singles match, especially being up halfway through it. But yeah, we had a great time. Good group of guys. I think we once again kind of pulled it off. It's it's seeming to become a little bit harder. I don't know, to balance it between we seem to be busier than we ever have been, and just executing the clubs and everything seems to be getting harder. But we're figuring it out.
Yeah, the giant effort between ECPC fitting day and arriving for day one at the Hideaway is it's never not remarkable, especially watching on the forum because I mean we're all just living our daily lives, joining in one of the craziest threads on THP every year. Um, I'm at home relaxing, and I know you guys are working crazy to make sure it all gets done. Not to mention hosting the whole time. So, you know, from my perspective, it was a really fun follow. It seemed like it was nice and tight after day one, which always makes day two interesting, and makes the decision making at the overnight a little bit more curious. Which guys show up a little bit, let's say, foggier than others. So, and which guys go to bed
There might be
early.
some strategery in what day we do that.
Yeah. I'm sure there isn't. But overall, I am curious. Every year you seem to latch onto one guy who you just love to talk about. Is there a guy this year who's got a story that you love to tell or no?
No, I don't think anyone. I there was no one. I don't think that this year kind of put their foot in it, if you know what I mean. And maybe that's because people have learned, right, from the
Yeah,
past.
we have not. We're internet golfers, man, having the time of our
Well,
lives.
and
We learn
it's not
nothing.
just me; it's everyone else, right? And we always have little things we poke fun at, but um, yeah, no, there was nothing that was out of the norm, I guess, if you want to call it that, this year.
Well, we had some great player wives on the forum heckling, which
Yeah,
is
that was
really funny.
interesting. Even my own got in there.
Um, yeah, and we had Zach's mom trying to maintain visiting rights next year, so that was pretty entertaining. Even though I know deep down she's a THP fan. So either way, great show this year, and it's coming back with a familiar face. 11 months is just enough time for you to get all the jabs you need at JDAX, so that's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I figure um, he knows it. I mean, look, all kidding aside, I mean, what a few of you guys, and I include you in this, have done to kind of be supportive and be such a big part of that event. And he's right at the top of that list, to be honest. Right. I mean, I'll give him plenty of crap along the way, but the amount of effort that he puts into it, even the years that he hasn't played, is pretty remarkable. And I think he'll have a great time with it, and he'll certainly be an asset to the team as well. So
Yeah, I'm
that's
pretty
about
sure you
the end of
say that
my.
because that guy's been writing Callaway fan fiction for the last 10 years on our website, so
Well, but I mean, let's be honest. It's all he's been
it's
doing is
fair.
speaking the truth.
It's fair. I would say his least honest year was this year, and it was only true in one location, which is on our YouTube, so
Mm-hmm.
anyways, yeah, that's great, and we have a new captain for you, a mark above, a guy I've met, I think he'll be a great addition to the team. You haven't quite had a chance to sink your teeth in yet, so that's
No, I
probably
don't.
better for
I'm
us, but
not super familiar. You got me?
yeah, I lost you there for a second.
Okay.
You wanna just jump in on that?
Yeah, I'll find something about him. I'll find some way to sink my tentacles into him. That was the
Well,
hard part about J. Lou. He's just such a nice guy, and he did such a good job. I didn't really find I didn't have and honestly, when we were playing, it happened both days to me, and there's a lot of reasons for this, but I just ran out of gas both days, and just started going sideways on me, and I didn't even have the energy to try and use my mouth game to overcome what was happening with my golf game.
man, that must have been so tame and confusing. I think that would bother me more if you were quiet. I'd be confused.
I don't know that I was quiet, but I just wasn't. I wasn't.
Not
I
as
didn't turn it up
effective.
a notch, I guess is what I would say.
Okay, okay. Well, we love to reminisce, but, there is another reason why you're on today, is to share some new ball products that are coming to market from you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
Um,
we got a lot.
Before we do that, I'd love to hear because I've had you on in the past to talk about the new Chrome Tour family or Chrome family, and I'd love to hear how 2024 went for you guys and whether it met expectations, exceeded, and just what the overall feedback was on the product.
Yeah, I think to answer that fairly, right? It was a good year. We grew the business, we grew share, all the typical kind of metrics that I would have in my review. Um, but I think for us, and we've been saying this to your groups as they've been coming in. I think I've probably said it to you in this forum too, that the golf ball category is one that's I would say it's a little slower moving sometimes than we would like. So I don't want to say it didn't exceed our expectations, but our expectations are pretty high. And we did grow the business, and it went well, right? So I would hate to say that it didn't go well, but we always want it to be better, right? So that's why we come to work every single day, right? So still think we have room to grow. Really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. I think the products are world class. I think we did a better job than we've done in the past of kind of showcasing that performance. We've done thousands of these Chrome Tour challenges around the country where we've kind of shown our product superiority, which is nice that we have it. Which is as simple as going out and having people hit our ball against their competitor, and uh, we do driver spin and our driver speed and wedge spin, and we're winning at about an 80 to 85% clip across the board. And I think that speaks the world for what the team's been able to develop from a product standpoint. So now it's just, how do you continue to get more people to try it? How do you get more people to see the benefits of the product and, get them to switch into it? So a lot of effort being put into that. And, in kind of the second year, that'll be a big focus for us. And certainly, when you're growing your share in revenue and you have the best tour year we've ever had, where we had, over 20 wins and 3 majors with Chrome Tour golf balls, right? That's stuff we've never had before. So that's a testament to the product more than anything else. So definitely in a good place there, and plan to continue to keep that going.
I think the last time you were on, you had mentioned the plan, the layout, to challenge people, but I don't ever think we got a percentage out of it. So you said mid to high 80th percentile that your ball
Win.
wins. Is
Yep.
that did you have an expectation going in to hit a number? Is that number exceeding that or
No,
surprising
I
you
think
at
the
all?
way you're doing it, right? If for anybody that knows anything about statistics, right? We have a pretty good idea from our testing. We'll test to where we get statistical significance at like 95% confidence, which is to say that 95% of the time we have confidence that we're going to win. So we knew that going in to it. That's where some of like the claim that we've come out and talked about relative to Pro V1. That's where that data comes from. So we knew that going into it. But when you go do this you take a human element of it. So let's face reality, right? Even those better players, and unfortunately I can't include myself in that anymore, but we're not going to be hitting the center of the face every time, right? So there's some variability in players, right? So yeah, that's about the number that we expected, to be honest. And really the goal of it was, if you can get someone to go through that and think about, wow, here's a golf ball that's faster than the ball I'm playing and it spins more around the green, you really have to think about, well, why am I playing this other product? And that was our goal. So that's why we did what we did, and we'll continue to do that.
To create doubt. I love that.
Well, I mean, because let's face it, right? We all know who the industry behemoth is, and you got to give people a reason to switch. Otherwise, why would they?
Yeah.
There's just no reason, right? And there's
Yeah.
other things that go into it, whether it be price or any other multitude of things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we all play this game to get better, right? So if you can prove that your product's better, you're gonna put that seed of doubt in people's mind, and hopefully get more conversion.
So one thing I wondered, and maybe this is a weird question, and maybe it's something that you've thought a lot about or had a lot of time to reflect on there. I feel like the number one ball I find at my golf course right now is a Callaway SuperSoft. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
just everywhere, and I think it's a testament to price as well as it is
For sure.
to the overall performance of the product. But do, do you ever worry that having such a popular, I guess, mid-range ball makes it a little bit harder to break through on the top end? Because if they get a super soft, well, they'll put the Callaway in play, maybe not being particularly familiar, and then they'll still lean on their original product that they're most familiar with because they weren't using a Chrome Soft or sorry, Chrome Tour or something like that.
Yes and no. I think we, if and there's lots of data to show this, we definitely over index, I would say, in that, what you called it, the mid tier. And we do. I think that it kind of follows our brand a little bit too, where we're kind of something for everybody.
Yeah.
And frankly, if they're buying our ball in that price range, that means they're not buying something else. So we
Uh,
still win.
Point to be
Um,
made. Finding your ball.
well, no, no,
So
but
that's what I
at,
mean.
at some point, someone's buying them, right?
Yeah, of course.
Um,
Yeah.
and I get, right. I mean, it's easy for me to say, and I believe this, right, that 99% of golfers are going to benefit from playing one of the balls in the Chrome Tour family. That they just
Mm,
are, right?
mhm.
You're gonna have a better chance to hit more successful shots more often with that product. But it's 2x what a super soft costs, right? So if I put my non-Callaway hat on, where I have shelves of balls sitting behind me, and if I need any, I just grab them and I go, right? Not everybody has that, and we all work hard for our money, so I get all that, right? So you still want to play the best product that you can at whatever you're willing to spend. And we actually have a slide, and I think I showed it to the Granddaddy guys, of we want to have the best product for every type of golfer and at every price point. And that's true, right? And this year is a good example of that, when we're coming with the majority of the products we're coming with are outside of that Chrome family. So that's still our objective when we're working on those products, is to be best in class.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting concept because, it doesn't specifically say on the ball price range, you know what I mean? So, if someone unfamiliar with the overall product line grabs one of these, no different than anyone else's, but for some reason, you see a lot more reasonably priced Callaway balls in the Heather at my course than you do reasonably priced Titleist or, Strixon or someone like that. They just seems to be a very specific common trend, and I won't
Yep.
mention the others, I don't think much of them, so, but,
Well, I mean,
you
it is reality, that product itself, and that's a great example of it, is so different from anything else on the market that it definitely has been a. I mean, if you look at the market in total, in the U.S., there's just as many SuperSoft sold as anything else from a units perspective. Obviously, the dollars don't add up to the same, but there's a lot of SuperSofts that are out there.
yeah, I could tell you that is quite true in Ohio.
Yeah, and
One of the other
it's why for us the line is so broad, right? Where
Mm.
next year we're going to have 9 options in the new SuperSoft, right? Because there are so many people that are playing it, and they have such a wide palette, if you will, in terms of what they want. So that's
When you
why
say
we
9
have.
options, like 9 SKUs, so, like, different colors, different
Yeah.
stuff
So
on
we
the
have
ball.
white and yellow and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but the new SuperSoft will have white and yellow in what I would call a shiny golf ball. It'll have red, orange, pink, and green in matte, and it will have Splatter 360 in red, blue, and pink. So kind of something for everyone, depending on what your desire is.
Okay. Well, I mean, the splatter blue is 100% made for my son, so thank you for that, by the way. Uh, he will absolutely demand some of those this year. But yeah, let's dial that back because I know we are going to talk super soft in total this year. I did
Yep.
want to have a little bit of fun and say one of the other popular balls I find in the rough or in the heather is someone else's brand with triple track drawn onto it. And you fallen victim to me texting you pictures of that many times in the past. Started to become one of my favorite things to do for the record.
Yep.
But circling to that, I have to think I don't know that there's another visual performance benefit on a golf ball that's replicated elsewhere. I think that is pretty impressive to see. Other than just a standard line that wraps around the golf ball, it's not really done. I
Yep.
don't know that there's another thing that's replicated like that by golfers. And I remember we discussed this not that long ago, and your comment was, "Why not just play the ball with it on it that is of equal or better performance?" So
Yeah.
that was always really funny. But yeah, it's interesting to see that. Does triple track has it gone about the way you expected to have such a following?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think as we got into it, yeah, um, it's by far the leader in volume, if you will, on the balls that we offer it in. Um, and part of that's somewhat self-inflicted is probably not the right word, but like when we did the buy 3 get 1 bricks that we only did it in triple track. So that's going to artificially inflate that number, but we do that because it's the most popular one already, right? So
Mm.
but yeah, and it's another point of differentiation, to your point, that no one else has. So it's been all that stuff that we've done, whether it was going all the way back to TrueViz, has been additional ways to get people to try our golf ball, right? Even if you think of all the fun kind of decoration stuff we've done this year, you'll notice that we did that on Chrome Tour, where in the past we did it on Chrome Soft. That was because there is a large portion of those people that it's probably the first time they're trying Chrome Tours because they like hot dogs or whatever design we have on them. And it's another way to get people to try our golf balls. So it is somewhat purposeful in nature as well.
Okay. And you refined, triple track. Was that for the last iteration where you sort of sharpened the ends and, made it
Yep.
a little bit more sleek? Has
Yep.
there been a
We
lot of
call it
feedback on
dagger, but
that?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it just as you kind of learn about it and kind of how people use it, why they use it, and listen to feedback. Um, that's been a very subtle change, I would say, that's been very well received. And then we have the 360 triple track for those that prefer that too. So yeah, there's lots of different takes on it for sure.
Yeah. What about on the tour? Do they have strong opinions, or are they traditionally that keep my ball blank as possible kind of group?
It's both. I think we run about 25-ish% or so. It depends on the event, but if you look across the board, it's probably 25% are using triple track.
Okay.
Um,
And is that
so
all tours or specifically PGA?
that's probably across all tours. Um,
Okay.
but it kind of just depends on the person too and what they do. Even I go back to part of the initial, one of the things that people notice on triple track is that the logo, that what would traditionally be the side stamp, sits below the pole stamp or the logo. And that was directly from tour feedback. A certain lefty on our team at the time that did use a line, and when we showed it to him, he said, "Well, I love the line, but I don't always use it. So I want a blank golf ball when I don't want it." So that's where that came from,
Mm.
um, specifically. So there is definitely still that in play for sure.
Interesting. That's, that's surprising, and I definitely see it. When you look at the ball, that's a great point because I traditionally have been a blank ball putter, but I always love to get one in play, especially on the putting green, and say, "All right, how bad is the alignment today? Let's find out."
Yeah. So what he said was he uses it on you know, short to mid range putts
Mhm.
that break less than a cup. Um, but then outside of that and, longer breaking putts, he doesn't want it because then it's more of a feel kind of thing. So
Yep.
I thought that was great feedback.
Yeah, that's where I've been this year, and I've been using Chrome Tour a lot, but without the triple track. So I use the line a fair bit, especially on those like 2 to 5 footers, I would say. And then
Yep.
after that, I just let the brain take or the brain go on mute for a while. So
Yeah, I would say, I'm a hardcore triple track user, I would say. And to me, I pay much more attention to it on, I'll call it fifth, the putts I feel like I have a more than reasonable chance of making. Um, and then I use it more as a directional guide on the longer ones, right? Where I'm not like as focused on a more specific line.
okay. Um, I wanna talk about the new Chrome Tour product, and I want to lead into that by asking you, or at least by going back a little bit in the Chrome family and recognizing that it started with A ball,
Yeah.
and then the tour made it pretty clear that they wanted some additional options with a bit more spin, and products begin to, start to take shape around that. How
Yeah.
much of your new product line, how much of these new options that come from your products derive from tour usage and demand?
It's a mix, but a lot of it does, right? So, it kind of depends on, we get probably across the major tours, let's call it, 90% of our usage comes in a Chrome Tour or Chrome Tour X golf ball. Um, so today or last year, or I guess when we record this, I can still say this year.
Yeah,
Um,
24.
but I think that, as you move into Chrome Soft and, some of the others, it's less so. But it's very specific on those products in particular. And we're already now, um, it's probably not a big secret what our life cycle is for golf balls. And then in 2026, we'll have a new range, and those are well into the development cycle, and we've already had tour player input and testing on those products.
Okay.
So it definitely frames what we do, not only from testing standpoint, but even their feedback into what we want to do and what we want to put into those products, so that we can test and evaluate them before putting them in their hands even.
Gotcha. So let's talk Chrome Tour Triple Diamond then. And
Mm-hmm.
let's kick it off by just asking the simple question: is this a tour derived product, or is this a fitting and or amateur derived product?
I would say this one's actually been more fitting and good player driven initiative than a specific request from tour. We will have
Okay.
tour play on this product. I don't think it'll be very much, but we'll find that out in the coming weeks, because we're out testing it now in the final stages. But this is one, as we started doing some of these challenges, right? We even put together kind of a matrix for our team executing those, right? And it was pretty simple: of you come in with ball, whatever it is, test it against this and that, right? And there were some products, and even in our own line, right? We fell victim to, we had a product in Chrome Soft XLS in the past that we had a reasonable answer for, but it wasn't quite the same type of product, Chrome Tour. So this will sit more in that general area for us than it had in the past. So Chrome Tour Triple Diamond can be explained in my simple mind two ways. One is it's a lower spinning Chrome Tour X, or it's a firmer Chrome Tour, right? You
Okay.
can kind of, depending on which of those two you're looking for. But there's one competitive product in particular that has gotten some uptick, and we think this is going to be a pretty strong competitor for that product. And our early data suggests that similar to those challenges we did this past year, we're going to see those same type of results with this product against that one as well.
So it almost sounds like it was born out of necessity, but you were using real golfer feedback and ball strikes to define what is deficient in your lineup.
Yeah, and what we don't have, right? So, it's a slippery slope of getting too many options as well, because then it becomes complicated. Of like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. But I think in our line, and even the way I described that is somewhat purposeful, right? Like, if you're someone that plays Chrome Tour and likes that golf ball but wishes you had a firmer one, okay, then you go to this product. If you're someone that likes the firm feel of Chrome Tour X, but maybe it spins a little too much for you, or maybe you miss the center of the face a little more often and side spin's a challenge, this is going to be a better product for you, because you're going to hit it straighter, right? So it's got all the same core, I'll call it, technologies that the Chrome Tour and Chrome Tour X have. But just, between the different levers we can pull from, covers and mantles and cores, comes out with a different consumer in mind, I guess, is the way to think about it.
Okay. And where do you fall in this lineup?
I'm playing Chrome Soft.
Chrome Soft. Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough.
So for me, I'm a high spin player, but I like softer feel. So like for me, when I hit Chrome Tour Triple Diamond, the spin profile is good for me, but it feels like a rock to me, which I don't like that. So I played part of the year with Chrome Tour, and more recently I've been playing Chrome Soft. As I like to say, I suck more.
So interesting point of clarity. I think. Well, I'll let that one soak in for the people who need to hear that from you. But interesting point of clarity here. Your perspective on it feels like a rock is because it's more or less born from your play with Chrome Soft, right? Like it's not comparatively firmer, especially in that realm of ball lineups, right?
I mean, it's firm. It's as
It's
firm as
firm,
any
but
ball
it's
in our lineup. So Chrome Tour X and Chrome Tour feels too firm to me,
okay.
and it's high spin. So the last product you're going to find me playing is Chrome Tour X. Um, of the four, that would be my number four, and it's not even close. I mean, I've literally only played it because it's my job to know about our products. But other than that, I would never take it into competitive play ever. Um, so, but I just don't like that firmer feel. And part of that is because I have played softer golf balls for a while now. Yes.
And that was my
But
point to make is, like, your benchmark is coming from a softer ball, so
correct.
inevitably
And
it will
I've
feel firmer.
gotten, unfortunately, going back to sucking more, my speed is also lower than it used to be. So I think that I feel like I can better compress the Chrome Soft and Chrome Tour personally, as well.
That's been a bit of an adventure this year for me, is finding out whether I still want the unreal benefits of a low spin Chrome Soft or the probably suits my speed a bit better Chrome Tour. It's I still don't know if I really have a finalized perspective on it, other than the fact that gold box, gold standard, I feel like I should play Chrome Tour.
Yep. Well, and that's where I
So,
started, right? And
yeah.
part of it for me is as my, I mean, just again, speaking in reality, right? And I'm very straightforward. I'm high spin, and I still would say, relative to my speed, um, I'm high spin, but the Chrome Soft also flies a little bit higher, which that helps me too. Particularly with, you think about, and it's the full package, right? You got to think about the irons you're playing, and maybe because I'm playing a Thai Fusion or Apex AI 200, depending on the day, um, product, right? Maybe that's a good thing for me to have a product that gets up in the air a little bit more, but with lower spin. So all that works together, and I may know enough to be, too much to be dangerous there, but that's all part of my logic and thinking too. But if
Okay.
I played an MD iron, for example, that would launch higher on its own, maybe I wouldn't have that same opinion.
Mhm. Interesting. I love the idea of having balls throughout the lineup that are both playable depending on product you use, and I feel like irons are probably one of the best places to really
For sure.
discern that, because they have
Yeah,
so much
because
impact.
in a driver, right, it's pretty easy. Like if I don't think I'm launching it high enough or spinning it enough, I'll just add loft to my driver, and I can do that, right?
Right.
With either going up, which easier said for me, I get it. I'll get a higher lofted head, or you can adjust it 2 degrees up, right? Depending on where you are, three maybe. So you have those options as well. Where yeah, could you bend irons? Yeah, but then you start playing with bounce and all these other things, and they're designed to do certain things. So I think that's where golf ball fitting is so much harder than your typical club fitting, in the sense that you really want to hit shots throughout the bag to make sure you have the right product for your game.
Yeah. Well, tell me, are there other balls floating around out there that are getting tested right now? I'm not talking about 26. I'm talking about in more or less the Chrome Tour family. Do you have subtle nuances for, let's say, Tour or anything like
Yep.
that?
Yeah, we have a couple other models. We have a variant of Chrome Tour, um, that gets some play, and we also have a variant of Chrome Tour X, which is actually higher spinning, which is very small subset of players, plays. Um, just again, suiting for their game and the type of way that they want to play the game. So yeah, they're out there, and I would say we have far less than certainly the big competitor out there who's got the last 5 generations of product in play, and then variants of each of those. um, but yeah, and a big part of that is we use those for two primary purposes. One is to get our players the products that they need, but also they're learning that's coming out of that, right? So
Mhm.
I think we said when we had this conversation a year ago about Chrome Tour, it was born out of a prototype that we had on tour, that some of our players were using. that definitely inspired where Chrome Tour ended up being.
Okay.
So that there's a lot of learning that goes into that as well. And the tour becomes almost a proving ground for different technologies or constructions or performance characteristics that we're looking at, both from a construction standpoint, but also an aerodynamic standpoint.
Gotcha. I want to switch gears a little bit because I've already burned over a half hour of your time talking about this awesome product line. But um, Chrome Soft, or not, sorry, not Chrome Soft, Super Soft is a ball that I pretty much see everywhere, and I've already made that statement. But I really mean it. I think it's a very affordable ball. It's one of those things where I totally understand where and why and how, but I also see a lot of variants of it, which I think is great. So, it sounds like there's new Super Soft coming.
Yep. We have a new super soft, and really this is one of those, as we always think back or sit down and think about, okay, what's next, right? This is one of those where frankly, we're not really trying to solve a problem, like we're not trying to solve something necessarily. We're trying to say, how do we take something that everybody loves and make it that much better?
Mm,
And across the board, as you've seen from us, one of the key things that we think we have a pretty good handle on is the feel levels that our golf balls sit at, and that people like that, right? People like the feeling of super soft. I won't go as far as to say, as some others do, that we have the softest ball in the market. But of the major competitors, we do, right? And people love that about our ball. But one of the things that's super important, and we see this, is getting every last bit of ball speed that we can out of the compression or feel level that we're at is super important to what we do. And I would say across the board, we err on the side of soft, but we're not willing to trade speed for that. So when you look at let's call it a big competitor's ball that's in that same price point, right, and build as their softest ball, we're like 25 to 35 points softer than that product, yet we're as fast or faster.
wow.
So that's really hard and non-trivial things to do, and frankly, it's hard to make too. So we eked a little more speed out of it. We've got a cover on it that's a little higher launching, and again, thinking about the type of player that plays this product, that's something that they're going to benefit from, right? Like, they're going to be able to get the ball up in the air a little bit easier, and it's going to have a little more speed, and it's going to feel as great as it always has. So that's kind of, I mean, it's a very simple story, but it's what that product needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a ball that has a massive range of golfers that can and could play it, right? So,
Yep.
the idea that I love playing a softer ball when it's colder out, just because it doesn't feel as miserable to hit it. And when it's 35 degrees out, I'm not exactly desperate for max performance. So hitting something that doesn't feel like I'm hitting a tungsten ball isn't the worst thing in the world. But also, I have a son and a wife who very much like playing the super soft as well.
Yep.
One more so for the gradient stuff, and one more so just for the overall performance of it is really good for her. So, I assume that's a challenge as well to cast as a large of a net as possible without leaving people behind.
Yeah, and one of the things we did was we actually did some research into why players of that level actually do benefit from it. And part of it is, at that low compression, it stays on the face longer, it creates less side spin, which, let's be honest, the people that play that product tend to be higher handicap, which generally comes from not hitting it as centered as some others, right? So that's all part of the benefit of that product as well.
Hmm. Well, it's great. I mean, I see all the different options. We talk about SKUs and the challenges around that plenty on the show, but
Yeah.
did it take a lot to get to 9, or was 9 a pretty comfortable number?
Well, at the end of the day, it was really only one more, because we had red and blue this year in line. The pink we did as a drop, we call it, which was kind of we did it one time, and when it was gone, it was gone. Um, so we knew enough, and we rely a lot upon data. And when you look at them outside of, I'll call it the white and yellow, which are bigger than the others, the rest are all kind of about the same, right? So the easiest thing would be if you had a signal that one or two of them was kind of a dog and didn't do as good as the others, to just take them out, right? But that's not really the case. They're all about the same.
Hmm.
So, and because we do so much volume in that product, you can justify it, with retailers. You think about walking into let's take, retail first. They can assort that because that product moves. That's what they measure themselves on, right? Is the turns of the product. And then at your green grass facility, where maybe they don't have them all, but they have a pretty good understanding of what people do buy, right? Particularly at your
Hmm.
private clubs, where they know what their members are into. So they'll, if they know that your wife always buys the pick a color SuperSoft, and she buys a lot of golf balls, then they're going to have that, right?
Right.
So it does make the business a little more challenging, but we think it's the right thing for not only our customers, but golfers in general.
Yeah, I'm happy for the options, but I'll be honest with you, man. That red ball is an assault on my visual experience. So the fewer of those I see, the better. And that's not just a Callaway thing. Well, I've got a buddy who we play together a lot, and when I find one of those red ones, even though it hurts me to look at, I'll put it in play because it just turns them sideways to look at it because it's just so starkly different
Yep.
than most of what you're used to looking at. So it's funny, and I think some people look for that real differentiator, and it's great that it's there as long as it's not. I've seen a couple black golf balls out there that I can't imagine understanding, and then a couple of those other crazy ones. But I love the lineup, and I love that there's options. Obviously, it
Yep.
costs uh, it costs more when you find something you like. So, especially my kid. You also have ERC in the line this year, and
Yep.
that's been an interesting ball for you guys for quite some time now. What's different?
Yeah. And this is one that's interesting, and I would say, it's a little different approach for us. And if you have some of my counterparts on here, whether it's Zach or Luke or those guys, they've been talking a lot about how we're leveraging AI in I'll call it the club side of the house. And we've done a lot in the golf ball space. I hesitate to call it AI, but a lot in the simulation space. But this has really been the first product that really we've leveraged a lot of our AI capabilities in a golf ball. And the outcome of that was a completely different product than we have, and frankly probably would have had we not leveraged it. And that comes from, we were able to take the data over. I mean, really, this has been like a 5-year project we've been working on, of taking all of our prior test results that we've done and building a pretty strong data set. Because the way AI can work best is with the best information. So giving all that backbone of knowledge combined with our development engineers has really been the advantage here. And we got a entirely new construction. I kind of described ERC in the past as being, it was kind of what I would, as I say, the kids would call it a mid golf ball, right? It was kind of sat in the middle of our lineup. It was a middle to soft compression. It was a medium firmness core, medium firmness mantle, medium firmness cover. And now we've gone to a completely different construction where it's a very soft core with a mantle that's significantly firmer than we had and a softer cover. So, that comes as a result of saying, okay, we want a product that we're not willing to sacrifice ball speed. We want it to be longer, particularly with the irons, and we want it to spin more around the green. Okay. So that's the outcome that we get to, which I don't think we would have gotten to on our own, or it would have taken us a lot longer without the AI. So it's really the first like fully designed in concert with AI product for us in the golf ball space.
Wow. That's pretty wild, and honestly expected, respectfully, but, you can't have such strong, impactful results on the club side without at least experimenting, and when I say
Yep.
expected, I mean, I fully expected the golf ball segment to feel AI in some ways, but, when it comes to ERC, is this like you have, a step up or the next take a splash from the SuperSoft crowd, or is it the step down from the Chrome when you're not super confident in your game? Where does this really sit? Is it standalone?
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest, right?
Mm,
Like if you think about, and we're thinking about our lineup, I'd say a little bit differently too, where we almost have like our tour platform and then the soft platform. And then, within the soft platform, if you think about like Chrome Soft as the leader of that, um, ERC Soft would be your next. I hesitate to call it a step down, but almost like a good, better, best mentality within the soft platform. That's what you have with SuperSoft, ERC Soft, and Chrome Soft as well, right? So
okay,
it could go either way, right? Even like I described myself, right, where I've gone from Chrome Tour to Chrome Soft. Hopefully, there's no next step down for me, but if there was, right, ERC would be one of the primary options that I would be thinking about for sure.
gotcha. Um, and I see Truvis on here. I see Triple
Yep.
Track on here.
Yep.
It
So we brought Truvis back to our lineup
mhm,
because we did have, we have True Track, which most people I would say prefer over Truvis, but there has been a kind of a built up demand for Truvis, so we're bringing that back to the ERC soft lineup, and people are really excited about that. So we'll have Triple Track in white and yellow as we have had, and then in Truvis we'll have a white and blue and a yellow and black as well in ERC soft.
okay. And is that the depth of the golf ball changes, or do you have anything else coming out?
We also have new Super Fast, which will be the only 15 ball pack in our lineup. More of a firmer distance focused ball, like that I would say is a companion to Super Soft. We have the Reva golf ball, which is our women's golf ball, and then we have a new Warbird Distance Plus, which I would call our value distance offering, right? I would describe it as your ammo ball.
Okay.
But very clearly focused on distance, durability, things like that.
So big wave to get 2025 going,
Yep,
with very clear intent for 26 already going on in the background. Pretty fair to say?
100%. Very,
Awesome.
very, very fair to say. So
That's
a year
exciting,
from now, we'll
man.
be talking about new, exciting 2026 products.
Yeah, and a team, THP victory in the Granddaddy, so
Well, it's happened before, as you know. So it may. I don't want to say it's likely to happen again at some point, but we're
it
trying to
might.
give you every bit of every. I mean, we tried to give you a Matt Wood this year. We tried. We're trying.
Yeah. Yeah, don't pity us. They would not feel the same way.
We have
Don't
had some
don't
interesting conversations about different things we can do to mix it up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Some
I don't
stuff,
think we're ready
some
to pull
things?
that trigger yet, though.
Okay. I'm curious, though.
I
Kinda
feel
like
like it be could some of them could be deemed as pity, and I don't want that.
yeah. I mean, I don't pity it. I don't pity anyone who goes out there and gets their teeth kicked in by Callaway at all. It's a heck of a show each time. So, interesting.
Hopefully, you have a
Any
good time doing it.
yeah, I think everyone does. Any, final thoughts today or, I am actually a little bit curious before we wrap because I had Zach on last week talking about the new Elite lineup. Um,
Yep.
any of those products breach the bag yet?
Yes. I did play an elite driver in the Granddaddy, so I guess that would call it in my bag.
Okay.
It's been sitting there since the Granddaddy. Um,
Lonely.
um, but I'm in the just the standard 10.5 model. I found it to be, I would say more user friendly is the way I would describe it. Like misses were better. And as I have said a couple times, I think I'm unfortunately a slightly better judge of that than I used to be.
You're almost
Um,
celebrating this at this point.
well, I wish I wasn't, to be honest. I just have to accept it at this point.
Okay.
Um, but just like I've accepted that my par is now 80, right? Like
Oh.
if I break 80, I feel like I have a good round now. And I definitely don't like it, but it's my reality. So, because otherwise I just get too frustrated. And
If I had a good editor, that sad violin music would be playing right now, you know what I mean?
it is what it is. That's why, I mean, I can't shy from it. I mean, it's
I
well documented what my handicap is now versus what it has been in the past.
I did hear
Um,
you make comments about irons, and that's the one thing I am super curious about. You mentioned you had AI and potentially some Thai fusion in there.
yeah, I do. I have played both. Um, I am settled in. So I guess, as I said, I'm playing tomorrow, and Thai fusions will be in the bag tomorrow.
They are You've been in golf for some time now. I won't say a long time. You've been in golf for some time now.
Yep.
Is that not one of the coolest sets of irons you've ever hit?
It is. They look fantastic. The performance and the story and the tech in it is really cool. Um, it's funny if I think about the long time, and it's okay to say the long time that I've been at this. Um, there was a product, I don't know if you remember it, but called Big Bertha Fusion. Ironically, fusion in the name,
Mhm.
which had some of the same characteristics, at least of, looked more like a players club, but had a lot more oomph built into it. Um, and I played that iron for a long time and loved it. So I would say there's a lot of comparison. And if I, that's the way for me, I always think about like past stuff that I liked. That was definitely one. And I was working on irons at the time. So it was a baby of mine. So to say that it kind of supplants that is a pretty strong statement.
Okay. Sort of, seeing an old friend
Yep.
in a new look. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. I'm excited to see how people react to the new lineup. We'll have a conversation going on the THP forums where people can come and talk about it. Obviously, they won't have their hands on it before this gets started, but there's lots of time this year to go and try them all and benefit from some of the great ideas that are coming out of you guys right now. Any final thoughts, Mr. Finley?
Just hope everybody is getting the year off to a good start. Hope everybody continues to let us know in the forum. I can speak for myself when I say I'm always lurking. I've now caught up and read every last post on the Granddaddy thread. So
I'd say I'm
keep
sorry
it
about
going.
that, but not.
It's how I can make sure I know what everybody thinks and how we can get better.
Yeah, I love that. Well, hey, it's great. If you folks are out there, pay attention to the new Callaway lineup. Balls coming out of them right now are really awesome. So go give them a shot. Seems like there's an option at every price point for all you guys. So yeah,
Yep.
go hit them. Tell us what you think on the forum. And if you are playing golf this weekend, tell someone or play well and tell someone they're playing well as well. I keep saying well, but yeah, tell them they're good at golf. They need to hear it. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks, man.